So over the course of the Assassin's Creed games, we've had various kinds of stealth systems, from hay bales and stalking zones to corner cover and social stealth. They have done an array of different things with the series, and today I want to talk to you guys about what I think they could do moving forward with Empire and the kind of stealth systems I want to see in place in that game. I'd really appreciate if you guys could drop a like on this video. Let's see if we can shoot for 250 likes as well. Leave your comments down below, let me know what you guys think would be a good idea for the stealth, and without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is just a chilled commentary talking about what I think I'd like to see from the stealth system in Assassin's Creed Empire. So some of the fucking motorbike shit. Let's just close the window. Let's just close the window. Let's close my window, and I'll just have to burn to death in this fucking heat-filled room. So with Unity and Syndicate, they kind of took the stealth in a new direction. So we, like, you know, they introduced the corner cover systems, which are always cool. They returned the whistling and stuff in Syndicate, and they kind of played around with different tools you can use to distract enemies and things like that. In the past, we've had, you know, groups that we can use to lure enemies, being like, you know, the thieves and the courtesans, stuff like that we used to have in the Ezio trilogy. And we've also had things like blending with certain kinds of crowds, like with the monks, but then we also have the normal blending in the, you know, every Assassin's Creed game since 2, where you can blend with the crowd and, you know, get close to your target that way. That hasn't been so prominent in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is kind of disappointing. I really do love social stealth, and I'm going to talk a lot about that in this video. I do love social stealth. I think it's a really cool way of using stealth. I love the physical sense of stealth as well, like the way you can hide behind cover and stuff. That is always a good way of having stealth in games. That option needs to stay there for Assassin's Creed, because when you're playing as an assassin, you need those options there. But I would also love if you can use social stealth. Like, imagine this scenario, for instance. So, you know, there's a guy on stage or something like that. He's about to hang several innocent people just because he's a powerful Templar leader in this area. You know, there's a huge crowd. Some people are cheering. Some people, you know, are like, you know, booing him. Like, no, they don't want this to happen, stuff like that. And you want to stand up for the people. And as an assassin, you're there on a building. You can see like a few archers around the area. If you wanted to, you could take those guys out, make it easier for you. You know, you see a couple of crowds there moving around down below. You see like there's possibly room for like a fight to start out in the crowd, because there's people that agree with this, people that disagree with this, and there is the crowd there. So there's several options you could take to take out your target. So, you know, you could go ahead, you could take out these archers, you could try and get above him and take him out in front of the crowd. There's another way you could do it. You know, you could wait until he's finished what he's doing and these innocent people are dead, follow him to where he goes, and then take him out. You could either you could drop down, you could blend with the crowd, try and do a ranged attack, something like that. Blending with the crowd would be an option. You could possibly start a riot between the two different kinds of people in the crowds that don't want it to happen, you know, the people that are against it, and for this like execution to happen, start a fight between them, get the guards to lower their guard, so they're, you know, sorting out what's happening in the crowd. You can take out your target and then get out of there. And there's so many options that you can do, and those are all social stealth elements by using the world and the crowd to your advantage, instead of, you know, hiding behind corners or hiding in hay or hiding in tall grass. Like, rather than hiding, you are hiding in plain sight. You know, you're part of the crowd. They don't notice you're there, and you get to take out a target. It makes you feel extremely powerful as an assassin when they give you the opportunity to do this, where you can just, you know, walk through a crowd that's massive, and there's a guy there, and you can just take him out without anyone knowing you're there, because you are just one with the crowd. It's such like it's like what they had as Assassin's Creed like catchphrase with like the first game being, you know, you are the blade in the crowd, and that's it makes you feel really powerful as a character. If they introduce social stealth back again, I think it was somewhat prominent in Unity, maybe not as much, because any time you use social stealth, it kind of felt like, you know, on tracks, like railroaded. Syndicate, all the black box missions didn't really offer much social stealth. It was a lot of, you know, practical stealth or combat as well, which, you know, we don't really want. I think from black box missions, they should pick an area of the world for an assassination and give you the ability to use the stealth elements that you want. Now, talking about stealth specifically, I think obviously social stealth will return in the form of crowds. I think it'd be cool to have the factions return in some way. Obviously, it'd have to be setting specific, so not, you know, courtesans necessarily, as well as thieves and mercenaries, although something very equivalent. Have these factions that allow you to implement your own kind of stealth system, so that you can, you know, if you want to lure a guard away, you can do that. If you want to distract a guard, you can do that. If you want someone to take a guard out for you without being, like, detecting you as the player, you can do that. As well as things like stalking zones returning. I think that will work really well. Hiding underwater is another thing that I think could work really well. If there's areas where there's like large expanses of water, you can dive under the water to become hidden from the enemies. I think corner cover should return, allowing you to hide behind anything. Whistling, definitely something that should be in the game. And of course, bales of hay and places where you can hide from enemies, because that'll work when you're trying to break the line of sight and escape. You know, so obviously benches, hay bales, wells, things like that, bushes work in Assassin's Creed, and I think obviously those should return. But a big part of Assassin's Creed 1 was social stealth. That is just something I would love to see return. I think working with the crowds and things like that makes you feel like, you know, you're this powerful assassin, and it's something that I'd love to see return in the games. I think to make stealth work better, things need to feel more open. Because obviously when you're inside of a building, if you're trying to infiltrate a building, then you're gonna need to use, you know, your physical stealth. You're gonna have to hide behind things, you're gonna have to distract guards, and I think a good mix of having that kind of gameplay for stealth and also the social stealth when you're out in the open works really, really well. And I think giving the player the option to do what they want is also a good way of having the game. Stealth is something that players will naturally do if it's able to be done. I don't think it should be pushed as much. In Unity, it was pushed a lot by making the combat extremely difficult. So they're like, hey, look, you guys need to use stealth, and it's kind of like, some people don't want to do that, and they shouldn't have to do that, because as an assassin, I think, you know, you're not playing as a ninja, you're not all about stealth, you're about, you know, peace and taking out, like, you know, your target. That's what you want to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be stealthy. So if you don't want to do stealth, you shouldn't have to do stealth. But I think if you don't push stealth, players are going to naturally do stealth, and it also gives options for multiple playthroughs. So if you put in this the kind of open area where you can do what the kind of playstyle you want, then it allows the player to replay through the game as many times as they want to and play it in a different way. So if they want to do it stealthy the first time, they can do. If they want to do it, you know, physical stealth one time, they can. Social stealth another time, they can. If they want to just go in there, you know, swords blazing, I guess, then they can do that. And I think that's something that Ubisoft need to push, is the kind of player choice. I think is something that would be good, and it would work extremely well for stealth. And I think they've got kind of the AI kind of down now. I think it's doing quite well. In Syndicate, the AI worked pretty decently. You know, they couldn't detect you through a wall like they could in Unity, and the stealth worked. It was fun to do in Syndicate. There wasn't as much social stealth as I would have liked. However, the stealth system that was there did work, and it was probably the best physical stealth system we've had in an Assassin's Creed game. Unity started that, and Syndicate obviously took that even further, and the cover system was way better in Syndicate than it was in Unity. And I think just having that stealth system there now works. Now they can implement social stealth, and I think that works perfectly in this setting. For some reason, something about it just makes sense to me. I think Industrial Revolution London doesn't really cater too much to social stealth for some reason. It just doesn't seem like it does. Whereas when you think of places like Assassin's Creed 1, like the Holy Land, or like, you know, ancient Egypt, it kind of feels like social stealth. Like, it's easier to blend in. You can blend with the people around you, and like crowds and things like that just feel right. Like, whenever I think about social stealth, I always think about that one assassination from Assassin's Creed 1 where Majd ad-Din is gonna kill one of your members of the Brotherhood, and you have to kill him before he can do that, and you get to blend with the crowd and use the monks and stuff like that. And it's just such a cool mission that I love. And another one is the intro to Assassin's Creed 1, where you see Altair on the clock tower, he's scouting out the area, and the next thing you know, he's down in the crowd, and, you know, he's pushing through the crowd to get to his target, and he takes out his target, and he is out of there. And that just is the essence of Assassin's Creed to me, and I really hope they reintroduce things like that alongside the stealth system they currently have in Assassin's Creed Empire. So that is it for this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion. I hope it wasn't too rambly. I know I can ramble off on these videos, but that's kind of what they're about. You know, they're discussions. I kind of give my thoughts on things, give my opinions, and kind of just discuss it with myself and with you guys. And you guys can start conversations in the comments. Let me know what you think about stealth in Assassin's Creed. How do you want it to go in Assassin's Creed Empire? That'd be really cool. If you guys could let me know. Obviously, follow me on Twitter if you want to contact me directly. Links are in the description to that. And tomorrow, in tomorrow's video, I will reveal the winners of the giveaway that I did last week in the 15,000 subscriber video. If you haven't already entered into that, you still have a chance to do so until the video comes out tomorrow, so be sure to do that. Head over to my channel, check out the 15,000 subs giveaway video, and you can enter to win a Kill Chronicle t-shirt if you do want to do that. But thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Smack the like button if you did, and subscribe for the newest Assassin's Creed content, and I will see you all next time. Bye!
The walls kept tumbling down, raining fire from above. Great crowds charge over the hills, but these cities had enough. But if we turn and fight, does it almost feel like we will never fall? And if we unite, we can take this fight straight to their castle wall.